so this is the brand new series on the channel. This is going to be an American Southwest styled city, and it's not exactly a city. It's going to be I guess a town set in the American Southwest, a pretty large town for the most part. We're not going to have any high-rises at all. Obviously, this is going to be based on Sedona, Arizona. If you don't know what Sedona is a really unique place in Arizona. It's very artsy. The main thing is about Sedona, though, it's geography. So Sedona is set in a valley in Arizona that it's pretty close to Flagstaff, but it is completely different. So as you can see, Sedona is a very, very unique place. It's as you can see, it's surrounded by mountains with vast red rock formations everywhere, pine forests everywhere, but you keep that American Southwest town feel with very artsy feel in addition as well. So it's a lot of different things compiled together, and it's a really interesting place. And the whole, I guess the geography is something that nobody's attempted to do in this game before. And, you know, I was up for a challenge, so I decided to go for this. And I know recently $2.20 has been working on his Down Under project, which is an incredible series, by the way. Definitely check it out if you like detailed, oriented things. It's Red Rock. It's the first Red Rock series in City Skylines, but it's obviously a completely different theme from what we're going for here. And it's very flat. You know, it's obviously Australian, so it's completely different. So it was funny because I was telling him a couple months ago about, you know, my plans for this project, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing a Red Rock project too." And it was sort of funny because nobody had done that at like any sort of Red Rock project up to that point. I guess at least on YouTube, and I haven't really seen anything anywhere. I know somebody made a Sedona map, but the map theme itself was very much not like Sedona in my opinion. I guess the rocks were very pale, and Sedona's got pretty red rocks. The look you're seeing right now in-game is definitely not representative of the look you're going to see throughout the series. And yeah, we're going to be using a different LUT once we move into save game format. This is actually, the map itself will be on the workshop. It should be in the description of the video as you're watching this right now, but it will be actually a save game. I think you can go into the files and change it to left-hand driving if you want that, but I had to make it a save game because I needed prop snapping, which I'll explain and go into it more in just a moment. But I wanted to pivot to something else, the name Navota. So yeah, I didn't actually have too much trouble finding a name for this series. It was pretty easy. What I did, I decided to look at some Hopi Native American words, just as I don't know if any Hopi-speaking Native Americans inhabited Sedona. I'm pretty naive when it comes to this. I am sort of doing, you know, bro history right now. I know bro science is the thing. I think bro history is the thing. You're completely naive, just talking about things. But pretty much, yeah. So the Hopi word for here is Navota, and I thought that sounded, you know, completely perfect for a name for this series. And I don't know, I feel like it sounds just like the American Southwest. Just, you know, it sounds almost like Nevada and Arizona and Sedona. I don't know, it's a very mellow type of name, and I think it fits perfectly for this series. It just sort of rolls off the tongue. I don't know. So that's going to be the name for this series, Navota. And yeah, this is just going to be a lot of fun. This is a very ambitious project, and you'll see at the end, comparing this to, you know, actual, you know, photographs of Sedona, it's very, very different. But using something as a base, even if you don't exactly, you know, manage to replicate it, it's still, no matter what, it's going to give us a great product. And I think, to be honest, you know, it's based on Sedona, but it's, you know, it takes a lot of different cues from different parts of the American Southwest, and it's got its own unique feel as well, as you'll see later, just by the nature of how I made the map. And, you know, right now working on the dry pine forests with natural resources, and yeah, so we're gonna work on that a little bit more in a second. So right now we're getting into the heart of this map creation video. So, okay, right now, I have to give a huge shout out to Ronix, who you all know from the workshop. Ronix makes some of the best mods and assets out there on the Steam Workshop, and specifically for this project, I enlisted Ronix's help. I commissioned him to make us some red rock formations and like actual assets and some, like our map theme and an LUT rather, and he did an incredible job. So the map theme you're seeing is by Ronix, the LUT you're seeing is by Ronix, and it's only possible actually with Ultimate Eye Candy. You're going to need Ultimate Eye Candy to run this LUT. That's actually why I couldn't run it in the map editor, but we've actually finally got it now. So that's why all of a sudden my game looks a lot different. Just couldn't run Ultimate Eye Candy in the map editor, and this LUT doesn't work without it. But really, with it, it just looks so good. And Ronix did some amazing work here. These red rock formations, there are 5 different varieties, and there are 2 different cliff slopes that I guess are similar to what Avania's been doing recently with some cliff assets. But those I didn't actually use those anywhere in the map because they don't really work with their environment very well. You gotta use them in very specific circumstances. But overall, we've got like this arch, we've got 2 peaks, we've got lots of different red rock formations, and the size variations are very diverse, and that's a main thing I needed, just because we only have 5 different rocks. So, having size variations and rotating them was really necessary. And right here, their bases are really large, so you got to integrate them with the terrain, obviously, and they're really hard to work with. And this is really the best we can do in this game to do anything like Sedona, and I couldn't really do much more than this. And I think this is great anyway, and you'll see, like, just comparing it to, obviously the shots of Sedona that I showed earlier, it's very different, and you'll see in the cinematics later as well, it's very different, but it's based on Sedona. The feel of the town is going to be like Sedona. That doesn't mean the geography has to be exactly like it. I wanted to just set it in a valley, and base it on the whole red rock feel. But it's going to be very different and, I guess, very unique as well. So you'll see in a little bit. But these red rock formations are very blobby for the most part, especially from above. So I'm mostly going for general aesthetic as I build this map. There are pretty much no areas where I really go into like detail. I'm using just lots of these Siberian pine trees by Mr. Mason throughout the map, which I think fit very well for an Arizona pine forest type look. I also add in some Scots pines. Those work really well in addition to the Siberian pines, and I'm just trying to integrate them around the red rocks. And you'll see in Sedona, this is sort of how it works. And a lot of actually in Sedona, a lot of it is, rather than pine trees, a lot of, obviously just desert bushes and pine trees mixed in. But I needed to cover the cliff faces, and obviously the cliff faces need a lot of very dense gathering of trees to be covered properly, just the way they work, this color and whatever. And, I wanted to do something more similar to Sedona, but this is as close as we're going to get. So, once again, I think it's fine. I think it's very unique, what we achieved here. I'm really just experimenting at this point in the video. I'm just trying to figure out how to integrate the rocks best, and what I did is I pretty much placed a bunch of rocks and then worked the terrain around them, like just based the terrain around the rocks that I placed, rather than basing them, like working them into the terrain, because obviously the bottom of each formation, the base is very large, and you have to work around them. As you can see right now, it's just really hard to do. So that's why I had to use a lot of the Siberian pine trees, which I think cover up a lot of those areas very well. And right now we are working on, I'm just using tree brush to place a bunch of different Siberian pines out there. Just the map, except for the valley, is exclusively pine forest, pretty much, and when you actually zoom down to it, it looks really awful with the specific texture that Ronix used for the oil texture, but that texture wasn't meant to be there to be a nice detail texture. It was meant to add color variation exclusively, and this whole series is going to be based on the general aesthetic of the series. Actually, when I build the town, it will be very, very, very detailed. Like, I will be doing it way more detailed than Aramore. And our FPS is actually already 30 FPS with dynamic resolution in the just the map. So, you know, if you don't have a very good computer, this map might not be for you, but it's worth it regardless. If you don't want to use dynamic resolution, you don't have to. And without dynamic resolution, you get around 50 FPS using post-process effects instead. By the way, I really can't wait for them to integrate that mod with dynamic resolution. Mod creators, please get on it, because the ambient occlusion from that mod is really good, but it does not work with dynamic resolution for me, so it'd be great if that was integrated. And I don't know, I'm speaking sort of weird because I'm talking fast, but slow down a bit. Let's just talk about what's going on in game. So once again, I'm trying to integrate the rocks with everything around them, and they look really awkward for the most part, but once again, it could be a more, like, it doesn't, I'm just basing it off Sedona in terms of how awkward it looks. But, you know, this is the best we can do, and it looks really, really nice otherwise, if you don't count how it looks from above and how blobby some of the rocks look. It's fine. And how the main thing is how they integrate with the cliffs around them. It's more about the rocks, not like the cliffs being integrated with the rocks. So that's why the rocks are almost like standalone. Like in Sedona, the red rocks are very integrated with the gray cliffs. But here, it's the red rocks are sort of a separate entity, and the gray cliffs are, you know, they're just sort of there in the background. And that's, I guess, exemplified most by the fact that I use tons of those Siberian pine trees to just hide the cliffs themselves, or at least most of them. And yeah, right now okay, so the Sedona cliffs are pretty unique. They don't follow, so Sedona is just a valley. It's not that there are mountains around Sedona. It's just, you know, flat pine forests for the most part. And in Sedona, as you could see from the cinematic earlier, it's very hilly, actually, in Sedona itself, in the town. And the actual map that we have built here, or at the end, it's very flat. Like, the whole thing is completely flat down in the valley, which I'm going to actually change as I build. I wanted to do that just for people downloading it from the workshop so they don't have to deal with a really annoying hilly map. And you can just easily change the height of stuff. It's pretty easy. So yeah, that shouldn't be really a problem. Just want to do that for those who are downloading this from the workshop. And I'm filling the valley really with some of Padelmo's dead bushes. Those were perfect for this. I didn't really realize how good those would be for a Southwest map, general aesthetic. So that was really awesome to use those. And just tapering the pine trees off was a lot of fun, and I think it looks really great. And I have some red rock above the cliffs just to make it look, you know, like there's a little bit of a transition, but I don't know. I think it's okay. And yeah, as you can see right here, it's just really annoying to deal with these elevations and the red rocks. It's very, very hard to deal with them, but I think we managed okay, and I'm just trying to go for an overall slope here that integrates with the pine trees and stuff, and I don't know. Another thing is, if you're downloading this map from the workshop, you might have an issue with the trees, or not, rather not the trees, the rocks. So when you download the map and you load into your game, the rocks might not, they might disappear. So first of all, if this is happening, download adaptive prop visibility distance. It's completely essential if you want to run this map, because without it, literally nothing is possible. Like, you can't actually like see the rocks from, you know, any sort of extended distance, but they don't actually disappear whatsoever once you download that. By the way, I'm sorry for the squeaky chair. That should be fixed soon. But anyway, yeah, also the audio in this video is still pretty echoey probably, but that'll be fixed next video, so do not worry about that. I know I've been saying that for like 3 videos now, but yeah, that should definitely be fixed soon. I don't know. I'm just really, really excited for this project. Like, I just want to say, if you're interested in, you know, working on a City Skylines project and you want to be ambitious with what you're going for, go for it, because this is a project that nobody's ever done. Nobody's ever done Red Rock American Southwest with any sort of, you know, crazy formations. I know people have tried to do like Monument Valley with like terraforming You can't do that. It just doesn't work. So, yeah, I don't know. This was a very... I guess this is the first use of rocks, like assets, as rocks. And, yeah, the rocks themselves are actually props. And so obviously adaptive prop visibility distance is essential. But this is the first use of, rocks in a map that are not actually, from the terraforming itself, massive rocks. Like, these are huge. And when you put, like, a vanilla building next to one of them, you notice, like, the scale. It's crazy, but, like, the smaller ones even. But, like, right now, yeah, we're working on just the cliff faces and stuff, just trying to detail those. I'm getting a lot better at terraforming. As long as I have a base, like, it's a lot easier. So definitely use terrain.party, even if you're gonna like completely redo whatever height map you import. Just use it as a base, because it gives you like a nice, just rough draft to start with, and you can detail the map from there. Once again, this map is not detailed, it's just I'm trying to make the terrain look good, from a general aesthetic standpoint. We're not gonna go near the rocks themselves, like, at all. In the series, like in terms of building, or we'll go near them, just not like right next to them, and we're not going to be like looking at them, just for the sole reason that there's no way to get them to look good up close. Something I gotta move on to quickly before the video ends is a couple shoutouts. Just shoutouts to some people who actually guessed the series correctly. So I gave a bunch of teasers on Twitter. First, it was just that it was the same time zone as Aramore, sort of. And the whole idea is that Arizona, or at least most of Arizona, including Sedona, is not subject to daylight savings time. So sometimes shares time with Pacific time, sometimes shares time zone with Mountain time. So that was the whole sort of thing. And then I switched to sometimes. And people got closer and closer, and then people started to guess definitely Arizona, but finally a couple people actually guessed the correct, I guess, exact place. So, yeah, I'm gonna give partial credit to Fez here for guessing somewhere west of Sedona. I guess it does look more like west of Sedona than Sedona itself, sort of, the map. Otherwise, we've got KGGTAVIDS. I'm not gonna try to pronounce that. Who's correctly guessed Sedona, and somebody who guessed Sedona way earlier, being Supersonic, guessing Sedona way earlier guess, less teasers and stuff. Good job to all of you for getting it right, giving you full credit on that one. And also credit to those people who guessed Arizona or something in a weird time zone, like way earlier than others, because that was a little bit difficult. That was an interesting teaser we had going there, but I don't know, it was a lot of fun, so thanks to everyone for partaking in that. But I'm afraid the video is finally coming to an end, and we're going to be hopping into some cinematics in just a second, but before then, hopefully you all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like. It really does help the video out a ton, and subscribe if you're new around here. Hit the bell icon next to the subscribe button to get notified whenever I upload so you never miss a video. Follow me on Twitter to get, tons of teasers on new projects. I love to post teasers, prematurely before I upload the video, and yeah, you get lots of previews of new videos and stuff like that. So Twitter is definitely the place to be. So hopefully you all enjoyed the video and enjoy the rest of these cinematics, and I will see you next time.